Reporting for jury duty. Who should I ask if I have questions about reporting for jury duty?
If you get a summons and you have questions about reporting for jury duty, probably the best person to call would be the clerk of courts, and talk with that person and find out exactly what time. Make sure you understand what time you're going to be there. And sometimes people say, well, should I bring a book? Can I bring my needlepoint? How long do you think I'm going to be there? Because my boss wants to know if I'm taking off half a day or the whole day. What should I wear? I go jogging or my workout classes at that time. Do I need to go home and change clothes before I come? If you have questions like that, call the clerk of courts, and they're usually very good about answering any questions you have about reporting for jury duty.
What do I need to know before I show up for jury duty?
If you're called for jury duty, there are some things that it's absolutely essential that you know before you show up for jury duty. The most important thing you need to know is that you are going in as an individual, and your primary job is to protect the human rights of whoever is on trial. But let me say this, if the person on trial is obviously a violent person who is a danger to society, then your job is to protect the community from that individual the best way you can by making sure that they're not going to be at large to hurt anybody else, because they've probably already hurt somebody. You must remember as you go in, you must know this, you must know that the person is innocent until they're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Take with you a healthy degree of skepticism about all the witnesses in the case, and remember that even forensic evidence is not always correct. And remember that you have a brain and you are intelligent and you can think as well as the judge or anyone else. And really, really remember that you must render a verdict based on your conscience, your own sense of justice, your own sense of right and wrong. Don't be swayed by anybody else on the jury. Don't be swayed by what the prosecutor says to you. I don't care if the defendant cries or his mother cries or her mother cries. You are the one who must make a decision independently as an individual, using your own best thinking and using your best sense of justice.
How should I prepare before going to the courthouse?
If you receive a jury summons and you're going in to answer this jury summons, to respond to it and be there for the jury pool, make sure that you know where you're going to show up, and call and ask them, where are you supposed to park, so you know where to park. Otherwise, you may be driving around for an hour if it's a busy city area and not be there in time and miss your opportunity to serve on a jury. Make sure that you know which room you should go to when you get inside of the building, and make sure you know the right building. Make sure you bring your jury summons with you so they can check you off on their list. And have another form of ID with you when you go, so that they know you're really the person who got the summons, and you haven't had to go to your law class and you haven't sent your buddy who didn't have a law class at that moment. So, and that actually happened, I know, of a case where that happened. So those are some of the logistics you should know. Treat it as you would any appointment to which you must go, where you have an appointment and you need to be there on time, and you need to make sure that you know where you're going.
What are some reasons I might be disqualified as a juror?
Once you're called to serve and you get your summons and you're called in to serve, there are many reasons you could be disqualified for the jury. And that presupposes, of course, that they actually get to you and question you, and they just haven't already selected enough jurors and they send you home. But if they actually question you and then they decide that they're dismissing you, it could be for any number of reasons. You could not match the profile of either the prosecutor or the defense attorney, because they want certain kinds of people to sit on the jury and you don't match that profile. And they have a right to do that, by the way. If they want, let's say it's a case of a mother in a rage hitting her child so hard that she injures the child, they may not want any mothers with young children on the jury. They may want more mature people, or they may want more men. And so they may disqualify you for those reasons. Some general reasons why you might be disqualified is if they decide that you might not be able to understand the case. If they think that the case is something that is maybe a little too technical, and they aren't quite sure that you would understand that. That would be another reason you would be disqualified.
What are some of the reasons qualified jurors are excused?
It's possible that you could be called for jury duty and you could be absolutely qualified to serve on this case. And you could even be one of the people they really want, but you might still be dismissed, not because you're not qualified in every way to be a juror. And by that I mean legally qualified to be a juror. But it might be that they've asked you about your schedule, and they know that you have to be at a law school class, or that you have, you work at the hospital the next 3 days on this shift, and they know they have a whole jury pool to choose from, and they'd rather not inconvenience you. And prosecutors and defense attorneys and even judges are actually pretty darn good about that. They will try to work with people who show up to serve on juries so that they don't terribly inconvenience you if they know they can get enough people anyway.
What should I expect when I show up at the courthouse?
When you're called for jury duty and you show up at the courthouse, here are some things that you should expect. First of all, you should expect that you've already checked, so you know where to park, but you should expect that they're going to want ID, maybe even to get into the courthouse. You definitely don't want to carry anything that's considered dangerous with you when you go into the courthouse. Again, make sure that you have a proper photo ID, your passport, or your driver's license, or something to present. When you get to the courthouse, you will have a room number on your summons. But if you're not sure, or you think it might have changed or something, or there's a sign on the door saying all jurors report to room 112 and yours says 310, ask somebody and tell them why you were there. And there's usually officials wandering around in the courthouse, and you can show that to them, and they will help you. When you get into the room, you should expect that you will be told to sit down with the other jurors. Expect to be questioned. Expect that you may have to wait a long time before anybody talks to you. Expect that you may sit there until lunch, and they may have talked to 20 other people, and somebody may come out, after leaving you alone for a while, and the attorneys have gone off to agree on the jury, and the bailiff may come out and say, everybody go home. So you have to be kind of expecting the unexpected. You have to be prepared for not knowing what's going to happen, but at least be there and give yourself the opportunity to get on a jury.
How long will I be at the courthouse?
If you receive a summons and you have to go to the courthouse, it's hard to tell how long you will be there. Some people show up, and if it's a traffic case or something fairly simple, they may just take the first 12 people. They may say, does anybody in this group know this person or this person or this person? Are you related to any of these people in any way? Do any of you work for this company? Were any of you ever involved in something? And then they may send you home. On the other hand, if it's a very complicated case and there are 60 people called in the jury pool, you may be there all day while they question you individually in depth.
Why are so many people called for jury duty?
A lot of people are usually called in for jury duty at one time for a couple of reasons. First of all, so that they have a nice cross-section of the community and the population from which to choose the jurors that they're going to need for the case or cases. And that's the second reason big jury pools are often called in, because they're selecting juries for more than one case. They may call in even 100 people at once because they need to fill juror slots for 4 juries. And so that right there, you have 48 people if it's a normal jury trial. So don't be surprised if you go in and you're sitting in something that looks almost like an auditorium with dozens of other people around you, because that can happen.
Why do I have to sit around all day during jury selection?
It takes a long time to select a jury these days. It used to be a much simpler process. They'd say, do you know any of these people? Is there any reason you don't think you can serve with a sense of fairness and administer justice? And you'd say, I can do that, and you were seated. Now they try to really stack the juries. They try to get people they think have the right psychological profile for particular cases. So they may really nitpick, and that takes a long time. So you might be there all day, you might even be there 2 days.